Alright, so for the first part of Survivors, I'm going to talk about sticking with your teammates. Everyone says it, but no one, I don't think, really explains it too well for the newer players. So, I'm going to say sticking to your teammates isn't just being within 5 feet of them. That's not how it works. You can't just be near them, you gotta be paying attention to them, and don't be super close to them. You don't want to get charged or all boomed. You want to be within a good 15-20 feet. I know it's hard to put together just, from a new player's perspective, but you want to be within range where you can gun down any infected that grab your teammates, or if you get grabbed, that's important. You don't want to die either. So you may want to stick to your teammates and constantly check. You can look at their health bar, or you can listen if you have headphones. But you should always be checking on your teammates to make sure that they are not in danger, because their survival guarantees your survival. So keeping them as high health as possible and not dead is your main objective. So, now that you hopefully know your way around the maps or you know how to play the game in the first place, what we're going to talk about first is the survivor side. This side I would consider is a little easier, but so first thing I want to talk about is staying with your team. Yeah, that sounds very simple, but some people don't really understand this concept. So, in Left 4 Dead 2, obviously you have your team and you have to stay with them, but this does not mean stick to them like 2 feet apart. This means you have to be within, I'd say the range of your gun. If you have a shotgun, then you should probably stick to, a little further than shotgun range. So when someone gets smoked or charged or whatever, you can run up pretty quickly and shotgun them or whatever range. On larger maps, if you have a sniper, then usually you're pretty good. You can just snipe them. So depends on how comfortable you are with your team. You'll find that balance, but you don't really want to stick too far from your team, because if you get jockeyed and pulled around a corner or through a surface that can't be shot through, you are pretty SOL. Next thing I want to talk about for survivors is besides the sticking together part. So once you've got that down, the next thing you should be working on is moving through the map quicker. One of the biggest things in versus is making sure you are moving 24/7 almost. You don't want to be moving and your teammates are multiple rooms behind or just really far behind and they can't save you, and now they're rushing to get to you, but now it's put them in a bad spot and they're down a player because you're too far ahead. What you're going to want to do is keep, as you get better at the game, you want to keep mental track of when you've killed infected. So if I kill 2 or 3, then I see the other 2 die, I'm going to go, oh, well, they're all 4 dead, let's go ahead and get the move on. This is when you should really be trying to get as much ground as possible until, good 15-20 seconds have passed, and you should go, oh, well, more infected are about to spawn, so I better get ready. This is when you look around for spots where infected are going to spawn in. This could be up high or other common spots that you just have to learn by playing the game. Can't really explain that part. But, another big part I'd like to mention that a lot of people don't think about. This is usually only in really high-level lobbies. I say high-level like Left 4 Dead has a ranking system, but I only see this in very good players, and that is helping your teammates in general, not just when they're pinned, not just when shit's really going south. If you are running around and you're going through the level with your team, turn around and look. Make sure your teammates are okay. If you see the Rochelle in the corner struggling with a horde, don't just keep running and expect her to do it. Another big thing, in Left 4 Dead, when your health drops below 40, you are slowed. You can notice by the yellow health bar, you are slowed down, meaning you cannot run at full speed. So, keep an extra lookout for that teammate. If they're low on health, they can't move as quick as you. You're going to have to take an extra, few seconds to look at them, because the infected can catch up to them a lot easier. Meaning they're going to spend more time fighting more infected, and then you're just running away. So always keep an eye on your teammates. Make sure they can move with you. Don't just run off and go, well, they better run with me. There's no infected specials. Always, always, always try to keep a lookout for your team and keep them alive, because keeping them alive keeps you alive. Most important part. Next thing I want to talk about is health usage. Now, you may be very tempted when you're around 40 to 50 health to go ahead and pop your med kit. But in most scenarios you should not, because that's a waste of a health kit. I don't recommend using a health kit Unless you're towards the end of the level and you kind of know you're like, you know what, I got enough time, I want to get full speed so I can keep going. Or if you know there's going to be a tank, or if you hear the tank music and you're below 40 health, you don't want to be too slow in the tank to catch up to you and kill you easy because you're below 40 health. Next thing, in terms of health, for the most part, you don't want to heal till you've been knocked at least once or twice, because that's a waste of a med kit if you just immediately heal when you drop it to 40 or 50. I've seen some people, or 60 even. Some people just waste that med kit, and now you get knocked, and now you have no way to refresh that counter. If you get knocked down 3 times, unless you use a med kit, that counter resets, you just die, flat out die. One thing I would like to quickly mention is infected spawns are really weird. They cannot spawn if you can see them or if they are too close or in a safe room. Once you leave the safe room, they can spawn in there, but they can never spawn directly in your in the new safe room, the one at the end of the level. Now, that is not the case if they try to spawn through the door. If in ghost mode, which is what infected are in before they spawn, they get a little speed boost that kind of builds up, and if they run at your door, jump, and spawn at just the right time, they can spawn through the door and kill you. Best way to stop that from happening if you're alone is to stand really close to the door. Not really close, you stand a few feet back, but make sure you're within a good 5 feet of that door, because you do not want to get killed when you made it and get made fun of in all chat. So be careful. That's pretty much it about the safe room and infected spawns. You'll learn infected spawns as you play, but they like to spawn up top. And the boomer does make a sound when they're falling. It's like a gurgling sound. Look out for that. That's when you know he's falling on you. Shoot him. But infected, it is important for them to spawn just before you reach them, so that they can hit you before you hear them spawn in. Because it's so powerful to hear them spawn in. If you hear them spawn in 30 feet away, you can already expect what's about to happen and shoot them or wallbang them or prepare. You know. And if a hunter just comes out of nowhere and pounces you, you don't have time to react. But if you hear that hunter growling 3 rooms down, you know, hey, there's a hunter there, I shouldn't go alone. And it just reveals their location, so they're going to try to spawn really close to you just to get the drop on you. So be careful, listen to your audio, and be safe in safe rooms, because they're not 100% safe. Next thing I would like to talk about is audio. You may think audio is important, but I don't think you really understand how important. With headphones, you can go from going, oh, I think there's a charger, to I know exactly where he is, even through walls. Infected are super loud. If you've played long enough, you know just how loud. When chargers spawn in, or any infected, besides the hunter when he's not crouched, make a sound. When you hear a charger spawn in, you will know exactly, because you can hear the spawn and noise they make. Each infected also makes a human spotted sound. The charger makes a specific sound for whenever they see a survivor in their crosshair. So not just one whenever they spawn in, but also another one when they actually spot a survivor. This can give the survivors very good info for going, oh, a charger spawned in, and going, oh, a charger can see me. So this is very important, mostly for, I believe, the smoker, because he'll make a specific cough whenever he does see a survivor, and this can be very good for you knowing when you gotta turn around. Audio is directional in Left 4 Dead, meaning you can hear exactly what direction they come from, and it's a very powerful tool. Makes it heavily unbalanced because they can hear exactly where you're coming from. So always pay attention to audio. This is why it's very important not to get boomed, because once that happens, you can't very well hear anything. So pay attention to sound if you have headsets. If not, I recommend turning on the audio subtitles in the settings so you can at least see it. That range is limited, so you won't get subtitles for everything, but that's pretty much all with audio. Just you gotta learn what to listen for, or look up a video for all the sounds of the infected if you're that intrigued, but otherwise, let's get into the next thing. Once you do reach the safe room, don't just walk in and stop playing. You have to keep protecting your team till everyone's in there. Always let the last person into the safe room shut the door. It helps prevent people from shutting the door on each other, or the last person's trying to get in and you're trying to shut the door, now you're shutting it in their face, now they're stuck in spit or spit, and now you're just screwed in general. So try your best to just let them shut the door so that it gets rid of all that. So keep a lookout for your team whenever they're near the safe room. Don't just walk in. Make sure that your other teammates are getting there safely, especially if they're lower on health and can't sprint as fast. You don't want to just walk in and then they get jockeyed. Now you gotta walk back out. Now that you're back out, someone gets charged. Now they get a bunch of extra damage because you weren't paying attention. So be careful about that and don't let them spawn through the safe room door. Choke points. Alright, this is another tool for the infected to use against you called choke points. This is an area on the map that they usually are going to spawn at for sure. They may even save their spawns to guarantee they get a spawn here just because the amount of damage that can be inflicted. This could be pretty much anywhere in a campaign. Each campaign has a few of them, but this is either an area where once you drop down or go through you can no longer return to, or it's an area with a big drop, or an area that just in general can do a lot of damage to a survivor or delay them greatly, or both, or all the above. Who knows? This could be example pretty much almost any ladder. Only the ladder that really comes to my mind is the 1/3 chapter sewer, where the infected will most likely be at the top waiting to drop you all the way down the ladder when they pin you and make you take massive fall damage, or all over Dark Carnival, coaster, top of buildings, charge you down, make you go all the way around. Dark Carnival, Tunnel of Love, there's a big drop down where if someone gets smoked out or someone gets jockeyed and pulled away as you drop down, you cannot go get them. They're just screwed. So those are big things to look out for, and always make sure your team is with you before dropping down any of them, because you do not want to be the guy who ran ahead and caused the team to panic and drop down and someone got smoked and taken, and now it's your fault. So just pay attention for areas where you're like, ooh, once I drop down, I cannot go back. To put it broadly, stick with your team, not really close. Stick in a decent general area like proxy. Stay close, but don't get too close. But stay far, but don't get too far. You get a feel for that. Don't go into areas that are just shitty areas to be in. I mean, if you know an area is a really tight corridor, don't send your entire team down there. A good example of this is the Subway and No Mercy. Charger Spitter combo right there will fuck your entire team up. Don't go all down there. Go one person first. They block the spawn now, and then your team goes. So, one person gets hit, not bad. They might lose their health, but at least your entire team is losing their health, or 2 or 3 people. So, a lot better scenario. Block spawns. Always look out for where they're going to spawn. Use your med kit appropriately. Don't just use it for no reason. Give your teammate pills if they need them. Don't just hoard them. Not just yours. It's the team's heals, not your heals. It's for the team. So, next thing about that, let's see. Make sure to respect the witch. Deal with her appropriately or completely avoid her if possible. Watch out around cars. Predict infected spawns. Be safe around choke points. Understand where they're at. Just make sure that you're paying attention, because you really got to. Use audio if you can, and make sure your teammates are as protected as you are. Don't just run through the level and go, well, that was easy, while your teammates are struggling the entire time. Make sure your team can get through the level as quick as you. If they're slower than you because they have less health, it's important that you help them out, because keeping them alive keeps you alive, and it's very important. And once you get to the safe room, or any other part of the area level where you're ahead of your team, just look out, make sure they get to you safely. Block a spawn or two, or block an area where infected are going to spawn, which you could really only learn from playing the game, because covering all the spawns would take entirely too long. So just play, stick with your team, use healing properly, set up for the tank properly, use mollies if you can, respect the witch. Try to learn the choke points, stick with your team, but not too close. And for the most part, you'll be doing better than 90% of players, because most people can't even do that. So as long as you're doing at least a few of those, you should be perfectly fine. You'll pick up everything else just along the way. Next thing I want to talk about is, big things that happen during the match, such as witches or choke points or other such things. Tanks, I didn't even mention that one, but yeah, that one. So, those are considered all equally as dangerous, depending on the choke point that they're called. So, tanks. biggest thing. Uh, you'll notice a lot of people like to run backwards when there's a tank to a more open area to fight the tank. This is very important, as fighting the tank in close quarters is very bad and makes it easy for him to chase you down. Or, honestly, what most people don't even think about is the boomer. The boomer, a bit of a tangent here, but the boomer is honestly the death of high-level teams. Once everyone gets boomed, everyone kind of just loses their mind. People just forget what's going on, or now they're boomed and they're trying to figure stuff out, and they're just too distracted to do anything. Especially if there's a tank, they're too busy just, oh shit, I gotta run. So once a team gets boomed, they're pretty much shit out of luck. You know, a decent team that gets boomed, you know, they can kind of, you know, do their own thing and they'll figure some stuff out. But if someone gets pinned and then there's a boom and then someone else gets jockeyed away, now there's a smoker and tanks rolling in, you know, stuff just falls apart. It makes them fall apart because usually when someone gets pinned, everyone just rushes over and frees them. But once there's a boom, you no longer get that outline on other players through walls, and you can't hear as well. Now there's a horde, and shit just hits the fan, and nothing goes well anymore. So let's say that doesn't happen. You don't get boomed. You can fight the tank normally. Just big thing is lighting the tank on fire. Fire ammunition does light the tank on fire, but only for a small amount of time, and it's not permanent. A Molotov will permanently light the tank on fire and constantly drain his health. The biggest thing a good tank has is patience. They can sit there and throw rocks at you for a decently long time. Each rock hit on you refreshes their timer so they can keep hitting you more and more and more. Now, if you light that tank on fire, you take away their ability to play patiently, and you can actually force them to run in, and you can kill them. Now, next thing to talk about would be if, you know, teammates healing. You don't, if there's a tank and your teammate does not have a med kit or pills, and they're below 40, it might be advised, depending on the teammate, you know, if they suck. I don't really blame you, but for the most part, jokes aside, you do want to heal them in case the tank is going to target them, because they have less than 40 HP. It's the one target that the tank can easily get, and they're going to get rushed down by the tank. So it might be good for you to heal them up, so that you have an extra member fighting whenever you're in the fight, and they don't just get immediately knocked down. So another thing with the tank is if you have no mollies, he might be tempted to run in, but any good tank will hit tab and check to see if there is a Molotov in their inventory so that they'll play more safe. If a tank is just throwing rocks, you can shoot them out the air. This hitbox is a little funky, so I don't always trust it, but if you have a sniper, those are usually best. You can shoot the rocks out the air, and you can do some decent damage to the tank, even through walls. Alright, next thing I'm going to talk about is the Witch. The Witch can quite literally end a round. The Witch AI is very weird. I highly recommend looking up another video specifically for the Witch AI, because the Witch doesn't work exactly how you think. Once the Witch is triggered, she doesn't attack who has just triggered her. She attacks the last person to shoot her, from my understanding. So, if someone shoots the Witch and then you shoot the Witch to help them, she might turn around and smack you. She just might. So be careful. I mean, still try to kill her, obviously, but don't just shoot her if you're standing next to her and your teammates run in. The Witch does stop attacking you if you enter a safe room, if you are hanging on a ledge, or some spots on the map are just buggy and she can't find you, and you can get away like that. Next thing about the Witch, crowning the Witch. You might hear this term and be like, what the hell is that? Pretty much, shotguns, if you hit all the pellets on a Witch, can one-shot the Witch on most difficulties except Expert. And so, if you could probably recommend watching someone else do it first, or looking up a video specifically for crowning witches. But be wary, this is not campaign, this is versus. You are not going to be allowed to just walk up and crown the Witch unless you have seen someone, or the infected have recently died. Then you can actually walk up and crown the Witch. But once they see the Witch on the map, they're likely going to play around the Witch. They might smoke somebody, as in a smoker ensnares them and brings them towards the Witch in an attempt to get someone to either shoot the Witch, or they get smoked into the Witch and startle her that way. Now, a great counter for that is to have a sniper. Snipers are highly accurate. You can just scope in with middle mouse button and just shoot the smoker. Or the tongue. You can always shoot the tongue, especially if they're playing on a car or something. You can just do that. Another thing about the witch's AI is when she is lit on fire, she does not take damage from the fire. She just dies after a set amount of time. I believe it's 15 seconds. So shooting her does not kill her any quicker during that time. It just the timer just keeps going. So once she is lit for 15 seconds, she does die. So it's not like the tank. The tank does take damage from fire. But when the witch is on fire, she attacks whoever's closest. She just locks onto a survivor and tries to kill him. If you become the next nearest survivor, you're up next. So be careful when someone lights the witch on fire. She goes after everybody. So please be careful of that. Don't think, well, I'm not the one who threw the Molotov. I'm safe. You are fair game. The witch can also down multiple survivors. If there's a scenario where she downs someone and then someone lights her on fire, or if, the witch AI is very confusing and buggy. If you've played any amount of Left 4 Dead, you'll know all the AI is buggy, and she can just sometimes, like I said, I don't fully understand the witch. Just look up a video on her if you're really concerned, but otherwise, just steer clear or crown the witch if the time's right. But just be careful because she can instantly encap you, and that is no bueno. Worst case scenario, if you know there's infected waiting, just send your team member with the lowest HP up there and have them as the sacrificial person. Oh, they only have 12 HP? Yeah, send them up. You're only losing 12 health. So, yep, gotta stick to that. Next thing I want to cover is survivor exploits. So, you might see a player jumping and flying around, not really flying, but they're just gaining a lot of speed. That is a trick, in case you haven't played any source game, called bunny hopping. They're not, usually they aren't cheating, but sometimes they can cheat to automate the process. It is a tick perfect trick to increase your speed. I only recommend learning it once you actually know how to play the game. Otherwise, only focus on it when you really have nothing else to do. But it's not cheating unless you can obviously tell they're doing them up hills or for a lot at a time in weird spots, or just doing it as the tank or other things, because in fact they can bunny hop as well. There is a way to go up ladders quicker. If you go into a ladder, look straight down to the left. So if you're facing the ladder, touch the ladder, act like you're going up it. Now turn to your left, horizontal with the ladder, look straight down, and hold your W and D key. You should be going up the ladder, but you should also be going up a lot quicker than normal. That's because it's combining your movement for moving forward and to the side. It only works if you're looking to the right, and then looking down helps you stay in place because you're using the W key. So this does let you move up ladders quicker, and you can do it as infected as well. So do that when you can. Another trick, chain gun. There's really only one spot in the game to do a chain gun trick, and that is No Mercy Final Chapter. And it's pretty much where jump, but hold jump. Make sure you're holding it. Once you jump and you're still holding it, run up to the chain gun. And as you're running, I find if you run from the left side and spam E, you should get flung to the right side to a little spot. You'll know what I'm talking about if you play the game, but pretty nice spot. And that's pretty much the only spot to use the chain gun trick. Someone might accuse you of cheating, but it is something you can do. I think one other campaign has a good spot, but not really. None of them are really good. But that's pretty much some of the survivor tricks. If you want to learn more tricks, just look up tutorials, not tutorials, but like tips and tricks videos. They can explain a lot. If you ever need to fall down, like if your teammate is down below you, but you know it's a decent fall, and you'll take some damage or even get knocked, you can hold jump like the chain gun trick, walk forward, and hold E. This will make it to where you don't grab the ledge by holding jump, and make it to where whenever you fall down, you'll start the healing animation for picking them up as soon as possible, and it'll negate some fall damage because it slows you down to heal them. So it's a pretty nice trick to just fall down and do that, but otherwise, some other tricks I'm probably forgetting, but that's stuff you don't really worry about. But one thing I do want to mention is smoker tongue. If you try to 1v1 a smoker for some whatever reason, or you just see one, you can dip in and out of cover or a pole or something that could break the tongue and do it that way. Or if you have a melee weapon and you time it perfectly, you can cut the smoker's tongue. Kind of hard to do, you have to kind of pre-fire it, but it does work and it's pretty nice. So, or you could just stick with your team and negate that all together. But if you're alone for some reason or separated, that's what you can do. So I actually messed up a little bit on the survivor trick in terms of using the ladders quicker. It's actually S if you're looking down, and you can do the same thing if you look straight up with W. I said it like how other people do it, which is S looking down, but I usually look up, so that's why I said W. Forgot to mention that, but yeah, it's a little wrong, but yeah. Another thing you can do is heal yourself and pick up a teammate from being incapacitated at the same time. Just hit heal and pick up at the same time. It's a little rough to get the timing, but once you get it, you can do both at the same time and save yourself some time. So do that whenever you can, or if the opportunity arises where you're low on health and you also need to pick up your teammate. Works amazing with adrenaline because you're just bop bop done done. But I don't really use that too often because it doesn't really happen, but if it does, it's very useful. One big thing I really haven't mentioned is the shove. Survivors can right click and shove. It sounds simple, but it has a little bit more unique uses. Not really unique, but more useful uses. Obviously, you can use it to shove commons, just regular infected. But it's very important to shove specials. The only special that cannot be shoved is the charger and in most cases the witch and the tank. Um, the charger just can't be shoved whatsoever. He can be stumbled by like a boomer explosion, pipe bomb, propane tank, whatever. But if you're running up on a teammate who's being pinned by a hunter or smoker, or if they're being smoked, you can shove them while they're being taken to the smoker, or shove a hunter off of somebody. Just make sure you kill them because it does not kill them unless you hit them multiple times with it. So you can stun lock and kill them, but you do only have a limited number of them. And in terms of the witch, if you shoot a witch in the head with a high caliber weapon like a sniper, deagle, AK, other things, and then shove her, you can keep shoving her. It allows her to be shoved. So that does help. You can deal with her that way if you need to. Just shoot in the head with AK, shove, pull out your melee, axe, shove, axe, shove, axe, shove, and you can do it that way. Or the tank can't be shoved in any way, shape, or form. He can be stumbled just like the charger, though, so you can always do that. Note for stumbling the witch, it only works whenever it doesn't work on a standing witch. If a witch is standing because you startled her or because she's in a night or in a daytime map, you cannot headshot her to stun her. It just doesn't work. Only works on a witch that is sitting down and crying. So only do it if it's a day or a night map. So pretty much any of the first game's maps, some of the second game's maps, and you can't do it during the day because during the day it's only standing witches and the night has the sitting witches. So keep that in mind. When with the witch, you can't just do it 24/7. It has a little small nuances to it, but that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching my video and hope you learned something today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be making an infected video pretty soon, so stay tuned for that and hope you enjoyed.